Hello and welcome to Learning Plan 5.1 Lab 7, continuing on with loops. This lab is a little different in that we have two parts to it, so let's dive right in. Go ahead and put in your student information on the HTML, and you're going to need to have open 5.1 lab7.js. So as we go in, let's take a look at what we're going to do in our first part. So in the first part, we're going to have a variable section, and we're going to have an assignment section. So in our variables section, we're going to have three variables, counter, loop, and maximum. So if you look back on mine, I have those three variables right there, counter, loop, maximum, total. So we have our three variables, counter, loop, maximum, and total. And in our assignment section, we need to add 1 to counter and 0 to total. So if we go back here, we've got 1 to counter, 0 to total. Now, I know I have this in the processing section, but right here, but it probably more belongs in the looping or the assignment section at this point, as far as asking the end user to enter a number of times they would like to loop. So I asked the user and prompt them, how many times would you like to loop, and store it in loop maximum. Then I just convert it to a number just to make sure we're working with a number. And then in our processing section, what we're doing is we're going to use a while loop, and we're going to loop the number of times that the end user asks to loop. So like if I enter 5, it's going to start the counter at 1 and loop through 5 times. And then we're going to add the counter variable, whatever that amount is, using the compound operator into the total variable and increment the counter variable, and then we're going to output it as an example here. So if I open up the example, it'll say in loop 1 the total is 1, loop 2 the total is 3, and loop 3 total is 6. So see how it's adding the counter to the total, and then we're going to output it. So if we go take a look at this, my while loop says while my counter, which starts off as 1 right here, while my counter is less than or equal to loop maximum. So if I put in 5, my counter is going to be start out at 1, it's going to be less than or equal to 5, and then here my total, which starts off at 0, I'm going to use compound operator to add the counter in. So the first time the total is going to be 1, and then I'm going to say in loop 1 the total is 1, and then the second time the counter is going to be 2, that's still going to be less than 5, so my total is going to be go from 1 to 3, and so in loop 2 the total is going to be 3, and so on and so forth, and I keep incrementing this counter here so that we keep looping through until the loop maximum is hit. And then I'm just document writing out the final total. So let's go and let me refresh my page, and I'll put in 5 so we can see how the loop works. So how many times would you like to loop? 5. And if I look at my output, loop 1 the total is 1, loop 2 the total is 3, and so on until our final total is 15. Now, let's go on to part 2 here. In part 2, same thing, we're going to have a variables section, and here we're going to have 4 variables, counter, loop maximum, product, and 7. So if I go back to my code, let me scroll down to part 2 here, I have my 4 variables, counter, loop maximum, product, and 7. So then we're going to assign 1 to counter, 20 to loop maximum, and the number 7 to the 7 variable. So we have counter 1, loop maximum 20, 7 to the 7 variable. Then in our processing or looping section, we're going to do a while loop that runs 20 times using our variables, counter and loop maximum, and we're going to multiply this time the counter by 7 and store the results in the product variable and output the results and increment our values. So as you see, it's going to look like this: 7 times 1 is 7, 7 times 2 is 14, all the way to 7 times 20 is 140. So the way we would do that is we have our while loop here, and we have counter, which starts off at 1, is less than or equal to loop maximum, which is 20. So the first time it goes through, it's going to say product is equal to 7, the number 7, times our counter, which is going to be 1. We're going to document write that out. 7 times 1 is equal to 7, and then increment our counter. So the next time the counter is going to be 2, so it'll be 7 times 2, which we store in our product, so it'll be 14. So 7 times 2 is equal to 14. Increment our counter, 3. 7 times 3 is 21, and so on and so forth till we hit 20. So let's take a look and let's see our output should look like this. 7 times 1 is 7, 7 times 2 is 14, and so on and so forth, until we hit 7 times 20 equals 140. So loops are very handy to have it process a lot of code or several repeatable steps for the end user, and you can either do it coding on the back end, or you can prompt the end user for information that interacts with your loop. Hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, let me know, and happy coding.